What's up, y'all? Mailbag time. Rixon Lane. David Stevens in with us today. Garnet Army veteran, legend. Am I leaving anything out?
Nope,
That's it. Here to answer your questions. Send them to the inbox, lanewusc@gmail.com, and on Twitter @FastLaneSports. We begin with Richard from Pickens, who writes, what sports position would you absolutely never want to play?
I think I'd have to go with a center on the offensive line. There's not a lot of room for error on that.
I was a center in high school, so it was you knocking what I used to do.
If you're good at it, then you're good.
I wasn't very good. No, I would go with punt returner, because something about standing back there. You're on an island. I mean, it's like playing cornerback, but you're back there by yourself, and there's 11 finely trained athletes running at you at full speed, and you're not looking at them. You're looking up, and they're just coming.
Yeah.
So I would be an awful punt returner because I would get so nervous. I'd be a possession punt returner. We'd never gain any yards, but we'd get the ball because as soon as it's kicked, I'm right here. I wouldn't want to do that. There's from James in Sumter. How would you fare at the NFL Combine? 40-yard dash, bench, vertical broad jump, short run, three-cone drill. Poorly, in a word.
Very poorly. My agility is...
40. They'd have to time my 40-yard dash with a sundial. It would be sad. It would be the guy from Mississippi State, Vic Ballard, that ran into the actual timer things. He stumbled out of the block. I would probably do something like that.
If not worse.
Yeah. The bench, I don't know, 225. I'd like to think I could maybe do that 10 times, maybe on a great day. I don't know, because it depends on bench, it depends on how much you have to lock your arms out. Because if you have stubby little arms, and you're just doing that, I mean, you could do that all day.
There was a lineman not too long ago who he did it like 40 or 50 times.
This is ridiculous. I mean, I can't even imagine throwing any amount of weight up 50 times. But then you have to wonder, like, what else did he train for anything else? Like, did he ever run during his workouts, or did he just decide he was going to blow out the bench? And the guys that do the guys that end up putting up like the best numbers, like the record-setting numbers, like you never hear from them again. Like the ones who end up running like 4 140s and been up benching like 60 times, they never play. Like you never hear from any of those guys. And then vertical and broad jump, wouldn't even bother. Shuttle run, three-cone drill, I have no agility.
Let me ask you this. What do you think about quarterbacks that sit out and don't show their skill at the combine?
I mean, if you're good enough at quarterback, I think the guys that do that know they're going to get drafted high anyway, and you would rather do your work with your pro day. You can script your pro day. Like you working with guys you've thrown to for 4 years. I mean, you can kind of let them know how it's going to go. But the combine, you're kind of at the mercy of, can this receiver from Oregon State that I've never met before, can he catch?
Right.
So I don't blame them. And because like quarterbacks are the only ones that do it, because they're the only ones whose pro days are vastly different from what you do at the combine. So I mean, I can't blame them. The ones that are good enough do it. The ones that know they're not going to get drafted high, they normally go ahead and do the combine anyway. So
yeah,
I can understand it. That's a good question, though. This one's from Jim in Columbia. What would your walk-up song be if you were a pro baseball player?
I'd have to go with Big Papa by Notorious.
Love it. I had a teammate in high school that had that.
It starts off real smooth, and it's just be a great walk-up song.
You can sing a few bars for us? You're gonna pass on that. I would. That's hard. There's a lot of. It depends. That's hard though, because you got to be stuck with one like for the whole year. I would probably go either Cupid Shuffle or The Joker, Dave Matthews Band. One of those two. I don't know. It would depend. I'd probably flip a coin. This one's from Georgia in Dreer. Who has the best student section in college basketball? You're a college basketball connoisseur. Who would be your top student section?
I have to go with the classic Duke. The Cameron Crazies and Cameron Indoor. It's just an atmosphere unlike any other. Yeah. Being in the small arena, packed in there.
It blows my mind how small that venue is. Like when you actually walk into it, I mean, it's tiny. Especially, I got to go in one time after a football game, and they were like practicing volleyball. It is really remarkable to see how small that gym is. I'm going to go with Utah State, the Aggies. They are, if you haven't seen them yet, look them up on YouTube because they're fantastic. Just everything's coordinated, and the actual student section at the basketball goal end of the arena, it's like a wall. It goes straight up, and it's just a cool setup. And they're very, they pack it in every game. So I'd go with Utah State, but I can completely understand why you would say Duke, because they're nuts. This one's from Mike in Columbia. If you could produce a Broadway musical about any team, what would you call it? Wow.
I don't know what I would call it, but the Lakers right now seem to be a pretty good drama going on.
Yeah. You could come up with a title for the Lakers. I mean, I don't know. That whole thing's just a mess. I would go Chicago Cubs, and it would be titled "Thank God for Beer." That would be.
When was the last time they won a pennant?
1945, I think. Haven't won a series since 2008. I can't even imagine being a Chicago Cubs fan. Like it seems like at this point you're just a fan because, like, what would Chicago Cubs fans do if they actually won? Would it take the joy out of it?
I think they would lose their minds.
Yeah, I mean, like you'd have like a week or a month of like utter euphoria, but then after that, what do we do now? Because I feel like that's like their whole persona is we're the lovable losers and that's who we are. And if they win, then it's like, well, I feel like that would dampen kind of the party atmosphere of Wrigley Field. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I think that would. I think that winning a World Series for the Chicago Cubs fans would be a curse disguised as a blessing. Because I think after that they'd be like, well, what's the point?
I don't know. I think they might become more competitive.
No, I mean, I think they would love it. No, I definitely think they would enjoy it. But I don't know. But I'm a Braves fan, so
that's all that matters.
I can't ever remember celebrating a Braves World Series because the only time they won it was in '94 or '95, and I was 3 years old. So all the Chicago Cubs fans watching this right now are going, "Oh, poor you! Haven't won a series since '95." This is from David and Anderson. You're a 5-star recruit wanted by every college in the country. How would you make your signing day announcement?
I'd just do it real simple. If ESPN wants to put me on, they'd put me on. But I would just announce in my high school gym in front of the school. You wouldn't want to
do the theatrics of it?
No, I'm not in for all that.
If I was a 5-star recruit and they wanted to put me on TV, I gotta think that I would do something nuts. Just because you're only gonna get to do that for one day, and I mean, I think the media coverage of signing day is a joke anyway. But if you're gonna be involved in the circus, I mean, you may as well go for it. I mean, well, heck, you had Isaiah Crowell a couple years ago with the little mini pug, little mini pet bulldog. I don't know. I guess it would depend on what school you were picking, because you've had guys dressed like Nick Saban, guys who are going to Alabama. I think what I would do is I would take you'd have to be chosen by the right schools, but like if it was like South Carolina, or if it was like South Carolina, Alabama, and West Virginia, like I would get like a tape recorder and have it start to play Sweet Home Alabama, and then be like, no, and hit next, and then it would play Country Road, Take Me Home, and no, next, and then go to this, start playing like Carolina in My Mind, James Taylor, and then pull the hat out. If I had to do it, that I would want to include some sort of musical taste.
You'd make headlines like that.
I would, but see, you'd go on and be the standout, and then I'd be that tragic story 3 years later playing at junior college. Remember that idiot who played with the music track? He got kicked. He's not playing anymore.
Just hope your mom doesn't steal your letter of intent.
That whole story was insane. Like, and the thing I can't figure out is like how does your mom steal your letter of intent? Like that would be scary to me. Like if I don't remember who he signed with. Was it Arkansas? Like Ken Anderson signed with Arkansas. If I'm an Arkansas coach and I'm looking at this and saying, son, you're wanting to be an SEC caliber football player. You couldn't run your mom down. You couldn't take a piece of paper away from your mother.
It should just be a simple handoff from the fax machine to him.
Yeah, that would give me cause for concern. Like you allowed the most important piece of paper you ever signed in your life to be stolen from you. That would worry me if I was coaching that guy. This is from Roger in Columbia. It says, after last weekend's poor performance, will South Carolina's baseball team even make the NCAA tournament?
Without a doubt.
Roger, they won 2 games. I'm not sure poor performance is fair. I think they're going to make the tournament.
They played solid games with a young team in the head coach's first series. And the game they lost was cut short by 2 innings anyway. Yeah. It wasn't even a full game.
Yeah. I mean, people are freaking out over that weekend. I mean, if you honestly think that Carolina's going to hit 210 all year, then yeah, I'd be a little worried. They're not going to hit 210 this year. No. And, I mean, like you said, they lost a 7-inning game on a doubleheader on Sunday to a team that won 41 games last year. No, let's not act like Liberty is, Blue Ridge High School. They won 41 games last season. I don't understand why people are so worried. Clemson lost to William and Mary.
11-2.
11-2. Do you think that Clemson fans are really worried whether or not they'll make the tournament right now? It's 1 weekend.
They probably think they're going to Omaha.
It's 1 weekend. People don't get worked up over 1 weekend. Now, if they lose 2 games this weekend to Albany, then yeah, you can worry. But they're 2-1 right now. And you had to deal with the Ray Tanner stuff, opening weekend, emotional. Don't start canceling your summer travel plans for baseball just because of 1 weekend. Ridiculous.
I was pretty encouraged with what I saw. We had a lot of pluses coming out of the weekend.
Now, did you go to all 3 games?
I went to the first 2.
Okay. See, I didn't get to see the rally, the 7-run rally. I missed it.
Yeah, I think that shows we still have determination to win. We still have a good core group of players. LB's playing well. Yeah. And Schrock in that second game, he had a decent batting appearances.
Yeah. People are worried over 1 weekend. There's no reason to be. This is from Marshall in Lexington. It says, if you could live in any time period other than this one, what would you pick?
I'd have to go late 60s, early 70s.
Why late 60s? Early 70s?
It was a good time, not just for living, but for sports as well.
Oh, that's true.
Gamecocks had great basketball, surprisingly. Right in the wire.
That's true. Yeah, I would. I don't know. I think the early 1800s would be interesting. I don't know. I would like to see what Columbia looked like in 1805, and then contrast that with what it looks like today. So it's that History 112 class kicking in I just came from. This is from Margaret in Orangeburg. Well, who is the best sports villain at the moment?
I'd have to go with Mark Emmert in the NCAA.
Nice.
He's between mishandling Miami and Penn State and all the stuff that's gone in the past year with allegations and everything. it's not been good for him.
I didn't even think about him, but that's a much better answer than anybody I came up with. God, the NCAA is just a joke. I think Marshall Henderson out of Ole Miss, because I think a key part of being a villain in sports is you have to accept that you're a villain and you have to enjoy it. And he gets more kicks out of making people mad than anyone that I can think of right now. I mean, and it's not as much fun now that they've lost like 5 out of the last 7 games. But when they're like 17-2, and he was throwing up the 3 goggles and taunting Auburn fans after games and flirting with opposing teams' cheerleaders. I mean, I think he enjoys being who he is more than anybody in college sports right now, which is saying something. I didn't get to see the game when they came to Carolina. I mean, I'm assuming that the fan reaction to him was pretty strong in that game.
Yeah, him and Murphy both.
Murphy Holloway. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, was Murphy? Did Murphy get booed for coming back?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, Murphy Holloway, the former Carolina. He wasn't really a player. He sat on the bench for a year and then went back to Ole Miss. But yeah, that game had to make him sick to come back to Columbia and then lose to a team that Ole Miss really should have beaten. Last one from Steven in Simpsonville. Would you ever consider running for political office?
Never. I have morals.
Never, ever, 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 never. I make it a general rule: never go into a job where half the people you work for will hate you, no matter what you do. And I feel like that's what you would get into if you ran for politics. You missed out. You could have run for university treasurer or VP. We could still write you in on the ballot.
Yeah.
Election.
Get in the runoff.
Just vote David Stevens. Write in. Tuesday and Wednesday. Change you can believe in. That's going to do it for us. Show Monday from 8 to 10. lanewusc@gmail.com is the email address. @FastLaneSports.